to steal himself, man, and we got him. Beamed in live from the Fortress of Solitude, which is actually London, man. Give it up for the man who found the soul of Superman. He is our Superman, and boy, he's hot. Henry Cavill, ladies and gentlemen. He's 3-second delay. Henry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
How are you? Oh my God, this is awesome. I'm geeking out because it's the Man of Steel. Look, I've got the shield. They made a jersey for me and they took one of the Superman shields off one of the costumes, your costume. I said, get one that Henry wore. And they ripped it off and they put it on my jersey. So you and I are bonded by clothes.
Nice, man. I like it.
Thank you.
He sweated a lot in that, so
yeah,
there's probably some DNA.
As you can see, I'm doing the same. Okay.
Yeah, enjoy wearing that.
So we've got a bunch of material that we could get to, man. We asked all you folks out there to send in video questions, to send in Twitter questions under the hashtag AskManOfSteel. This is all about Henry Cavill. What about you, Henry? What was the inspiration, aside from, like, I'm going to look like no human being on Earth, cut from God's own marble? In fact, I look like the opposite of Henry wearing this vest right here. I'm Bizarro Henry Cavill. What was it like to get up every morning and be like, all right, number one, you're British, you're playing an American character as well, and knowing a lot of people going like, hey man, he stands for America. Where'd you find your inspiration?
Well, I mean, pretty much the same thing as Amy said. You've just got to... You read the comic books, you take as much inspiration as you can from there, and then you just live in the skin of the character. And yeah, waking up every morning is pretty exciting when you say, I get to play Superman, I get to be Superman. But that also applies a certain responsibility and a weight to your shoulders, which makes you work harder. But my inspiration was just mostly drawn from the comic books and this sort of grand love across the world for the character.
You crushed it, sir. You brought soul to that character. Naturally, physically, of course, I was going to say you look the part. We've never seen Superman look this good. This is the first time in a Superman movie you were like, dude, take off the shirt. You know, just you don't even need the cape. But not only do you physically personify it, you have the soul, dude, and the kind of temperance. Like, I look at your performance as a guy who's just kind of not looking down on people, but just kind of like, everyone around me is a Fabergé egg. If I do anything, I can harm people. So I'm going to do everything I can to help people. And that played so well in that performance all across the flick.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, man. So I think we're going to come back to Henry as well in a couple minutes. He's standing by. I'm sure we got another video question we're just going to pop to right now, and we're going to throw it out to Henry, who's standing by in London. He's woken up, man, as we're up very early, a few hours later there. Henry, what is the poppy? Is it Remembrance Day or something? What's going on?
Yeah, it's Remembrance Day over here. And yeah, so wearing the poppy to remember all the fallen soldiers.
Right on. Okay, we got a video question for you, man. This is aimed right for you, Henry. Check it out.
Hi, Henry. Did you study or practice any particular martial arts or fighting styles in preparations for the fighting scenes?
Take it away, Henry, man. He wants to know about the fighting styles. It's one thing when Zach's like, look, get in shape like nobody's ever gotten in shape before. Look, fly. But then at the same time, he's like, look, learn judo. Did you have to learn fighting? What was up?
Well, funnily enough, for a previous movie, I'd learned sort of the base of quite a lot of martial arts just so I could, fit the character. And for this one, all the stunt guys who were training me said, forget everything you know, because in reality, Superman would never have learned a martial art. He'd never have the ability to train with someone because he would do some serious damage just by, touching someone. And so they said, just, really bring it back and go become a brawler. This really big, wide punches. And so there was no sort of specific, martial art that I had to learn. And that made it easier for me, in fact.
I got to say, man, I'll say it. I'm sure everyone's on the internet. It's weird hearing Superman in a British accent, but I'm a big fan of Henry's going back to the Tudors, man. I was so happy when he got this role and they cast him and not Henry VIII, who was such a bastard. Okay, man, I believe right now we're going to take a peek at some conversation, man, that Zach had with... Oh, it's a question. They're correcting me. Like I said, it's live. I'm already screwing up. We got a question for Zach, video question, then we got a package coming up. But first, Zach, another question for you. This little thing, this package we got, this video thing, Well, we're going to do, duh, we got Man of Steel standing by. We got to go to Henry. He's probably falling asleep listening to us talk to each other. Henry, are you still there? Yeah, there he is. He's standing by. He's remembering like heck on Remembrance Day. We got another question for you. We wish you were here, man, but the delay is weird. But listen to this question and we'll jump into your answer.
This is a question for Henry Cavill. I was just wondering, have you ever experienced what you experienced in the movie, how you've been in a situation where you've had to take a leap of faith and letting the trust part come later? Have you ever had that? Okay, thanks.
All right, Henry, the question is right to you, man. I'm not sure I understood it. He was talking in a funny accent. You might understand it.
Right. Well, I think the whole thing about taking a leap of faith is that is exactly what trust is. It's not about letting the trust part come later. Generally, I mean, we take leaps of faith in friendships, in relationships. As actors, we take leaps of faith with directors. We never know how it's going to turn out. Zach will tell us, you know, on the day he'll show us some previs, and we'll do a scene, and then he'll say, right, and behind you we're going to have all this stuff, which doesn't exist now, and we're going to cut in a certain way that it's all going to make sense. And that in itself is a leap of faith, and we just have to put our trust in our director or our friends or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, every day.
This is something I've been wondering, and I'm not going to aim it directly at Henry because he's not responsible for this, but you can listen along, Henry. Ever since I saw the trailer, and I've seen this movie twice in theaters, I watched it twice on an airplane going back and forth, uncut, and then I just watched it again at 3 in the morning recently, and had a great time. But here's what I got to know, and a lot of people on the internet want to know. When little Clark, at the end of the movie, spoilers in that Amy Adams parlance, spoilers at the end, when little Clark's running around with the cape on, who is he pretending to be?
I believe that moment is a moment that is true.
Let's ask Henry what he thinks, man. Henry, you standing by. What was your takeaway from all this, other than like, I'm Superman, bitches? Like, that's amazing. But on top of everything else, what was the, you know, well, I thought about this and thought about this.
Well, firstly, I just want to say, Amy, I agree with Kevin. You were the clear choice for Lois. Zach couldn't have just hired anyone. You absolutely nailed the role, and there's no one else but you who could have played that as well as you did. What did I take away from it? Just the whole experience. I'd never been in a job of that size. And, I mean, I was in that job for 10 to 11 months, and when you're trying to put yourself in Superman's shoes, it's, at first of all, very daunting. And then you remove that fear aspect from it, and you just try and live sort of within the skin of the character as he would live, without the sort of awareness of what Superman is to pop culture. And just that experience as a whole, I've working on a job for so long and working with such wonderful people, you know, it changed my life. And it's something that I will never forget, for sure, obviously.
I mean, this is off the boards, but I read a cute story, I think, somewhere about you having met your dad, Jor-El, Russell Crowe, prior to him being on set. You want to tell? I know you've told it to death on the press route. Tell it one more time for posterity.
Oh, no, this is my first time telling it.
Is it?
I was in boarding school, and he was filming, Russell was filming a movie called Proof of Life at my boarding school, and I was an extra in the background. He was kicking some rugby balls around, and we're all standing there in a big semicircle staring at him from afar, and I thought, so this all looks a bit odd. Why don't we treat him like a human being, go over and say hello? So sure enough, I went over, shook his hand, and said, I'm thinking of becoming an actor, and what's it like? And he said, you know, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. You've just got to really want it. And then everyone sort of ran up and started asking for autographs immediately, so I waved to him over the crowd and said goodbye. And then a couple of days later, I got a signed autograph from him, a personalized message saying, Dear Henry, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, Russell. And some Australian candy, some Vegemite, an Australian rugby jersey. And it was just fantastic to walk up to him. It must have been, I was 16, 17 at the time, so 10, 11 years later. And I was at the end of that first 1,000-mile journey, and he was there as he was at the beginning, And it was nice just to share that moment and say, hey, remember me? And amazingly enough, he did, and which is a remarkable feat. And yeah, we just had a good old chat about, you know, how these kind of crazy things can happen.
The amazing thing is you let him leave your life, man. If I had a father figure like that, I would just have him follow me all around going, punch that person, go left, do this. I love that sequence. I'm hoping like the Jor-El, the computer program went away in the movie. And when it happened, I was like, no, but you know, I'm hoping that perhaps somewhere in the future we might see something else. Speaking of future, man, Man of Steel happened. It's coming out on Blu-ray right now. That's what we're sitting around talking about right here at the Man of Steel fan event. Go pick up the Blu-ray this week. It is packed with stuff. Not kidding, man. The modern day film school is a very thick Blu-ray. Most cats learn so much about filmmaking just by watching the question right now. Who's this one for, Radio Room? This one's for Henry, who's standing by going, am I still on TV with these guys? Henry, we got a question for you. Alone in the Fortress of Solitude. Oh, it's a Twitter question. It's not a video question. Here we go. So listen up. In the film, Henry, the concept of bullying was quite prevalent. What did you hope to convey to the public regarding the choices associated with bullying and how to handle it? I think that is way too many letters for 140 characters. I don't know if this came from Twitter, but Henry, it's up to you. The bullying, man. What was that? What is your take on it?
Well, I feel like a lot of it, well, one major part of it is covered with young Clark, which is even if someone makes you feel diminished, if don't let your ego take charge and therefore try and diminish them in return, because that turns into a vicious cycle. And when Clark grows up and you see him in the bar, we add a human aspect, and you know, the very fact that he is fallible and sometimes he doesn't always get it right by trashing that guy's truck. It wasn't necessarily the right thing to do, but it made him seem more human. And then on the flip side of it, there's a stage where you have to eventually stand up to a bully and you have to stop a bully doing what they're doing. And in Zod's case, there's no peaceful answer to that. Because he was programmed to do what he had to do. So, yeah, there's the two aspects of one, take the high road, and then two, sometimes you have to stand up and stop the bullying from happening.
Well said. Even it sounds like Superman when he's speaking extemporaneously, just in the ideas he's talking. Henry, who's still sitting there listening. We're going to jump to it.
Yay,
Henry, thanks for making the time, sir, on Remembrance Day, no less. You did an excellent, excellent job. We love you, Superman.
Love you guys, too. Thank you.
Did you hear that? Superman said he loved me. Technically with all of us, but I'm taking a little bit for myself. You were